What is going on? Alex here. Just having a riverside walk, and I look like I've just gotten off one of the boats on the side over here, haven't I? So let's talk about writer's block and why you don't have it, or creative block of any kind. Maybe you're a writer or you're a content creator and you've got stuff that you want to share. You might often find yourself staring at a blank page thinking, my goodness, I really don't know what to do. I feel stuck. I'm not very excited about what I could write about or talk about. Just just sort of stuck. And some people might experience this for days on end. I know the feeling. I experience waves of it every time I step up to do one of these for a start. I actually find it a lot easier to write these days than record videos. But that brings me to the main point, which is that you don't have creative block. Creative block is actually an excuse you have fabricated in your clever little mind to get you out of potentially being rejected by other human beings. I'm sorry to put it to you like that. That is the reality. You don't not know what to write about. You've got it all in there. You've got a whole brain full of ideas and stories and experiences. That ain't the problem. The problem is that you're a human being and we all share the same concern about being negatively criticized because it's built into us over many, many years. It has always been a seemingly very important thing to worry about, given that we could become very vulnerable if we were to be banished from the crowd, banished from society by saying and doing the wrong things. And so we've got this constant kind of leftover reptilian or whatever it is concern for being ridiculed in some way, being spoken about hush hush behind our backs, about what's wrong with us, about how strange we've been being, about how odd we are. We've got this constant concern. And when it comes to creating content and sharing it potentially publicly, we are literally looking down at that chasm of what our future misery could look like. And we don't like the look of that. We're like, this could open me up to some serious criticism here. And you start having emphasized visions of how bad things could get. Maybe you might end up in prison for saying something a bit dodgy. And we live in an age where we are left, right and centre literally being reminded and the idea is being amplified and reinforced that you will get in trouble if you say bad stuff. If you're not politically correct, you're out of here, mate. So we've got it stacked against us, haven't we? You know, we live in an age where we have more opportunity than ever to get our creative work out there, to be seen, to grow audiences, to build incredible things, and to really make an impact across a wide range of people. But at the same time, we're also faced with the crippling concern for judgment and dislike. And this is where writer's block and creative block feature in all this, is that we are actually creating an excuse to not write and to not create. It's not that you don't know. So I won't belabor that point. That's something to reflect on. I think it's interesting. It's a kind of backwards rationalization of the idea of whatever I mean by that. It's a kind of backwards way of looking at writer's block and creative block. It's not actually the reason you can't create. You're not actually stuck. You are creating a reason to avoid being rejected. Humans are very creative like that. And it's funny, it's ironic because we are actually being very creative in that moment. When we think we're being our least creative is when we're being one of our most creative. We're creatively coming up with a reason to not create. And here's the solution in my view. And here's one way we can kind of break through that. There's a tool you can use, which is to put down some ideas about things you're worried about saying that you know are true. Have a think about some of the things you bite your tongue on when you're in a group setting at a dinner party at Christmas and you've got all these thoughts on certain things, but you know you can't really say it. You don't want to say it because you don't want to be ridiculed or laughed at or, you know, pushed out the room. But I think going straight into this as a brainstorming session, to jump straight into those things that are really of the essence in this. The essence in all this is that you're scared of rejection. So why don't we just jump straight into, well, what are you scared about being rejected for? What are your truths? What could you say if you weren't scared of rejection? What would you really want to get off your chest if you had no fear? What would you say if you didn't care about what other people thought? That's where you want to go right now. If you've got creative block, that's your body, that's your brain telling you got to go where you fear right now, and you're not doing it, and you're coming up with a clever excuse. What you want to do instead is start off in the shadows. You don't have to make anything public just yet. Write something down in a brainstorm or on a list that you know is true, that you kind of want to get out there. You're not sure yet, but you know it's the kind of thing that some people might disagree with you on. This is where things get interesting, because this is exactly what makes for interesting writing. Not only that you're going to be polarizing and you're going to create a rift between your readers or audience, some of whom will love it, some of whom will not like it so much. That actually makes for very interesting writing. And you might lose some people, and that's absolutely fine. That's something that you're going to have to get past if you're in this creative game. The other thing is that you finally start acting with some integrity to who you are. You start speaking the truth. You start speaking and doing things with honesty, and that's what true authenticity is all about. And these gurus keep banging on about be authentic. They're basically telling you to say what you want to say, regardless of how icky it feels to get it out there. So you're going to start feeling more alive. Another reason you feel stuck when you're creatively blocked is because you know you're holding yourself back from your real views, from your real truth, from your real honesty. So that's where you want to go. So if you're creatively blocked, you've got writer's block, know that it's you coming up with an excuse to avoid potentially suffering at the hands of other human judging eyes. And that's absolutely fine. That's something we all go through. If you can find a way through in the way that we've discussed, you will have a huge advantage. And the way to do that is, I would suggest, as a tool, as a kind of exercise, is to brainstorm some ideas about things that you know are true that you might be holding back on sharing, that you could explore. And perhaps you want to commit to actually pressing publish on those thoughts ultimately as well. And there you have it. Hopefully that was helpful, guys. If you've got any other questions, comments, thoughts for future ideas or articles that I could write, share them down below. Do make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're also following my newsletter at untetheredmind.substack.com if you want to be a sovereign, free thinking individual. That's the place for you. And it's a pleasure as always to do these videos for you. So I'll see you in the next one. Take care.